GameStop is back, as the meme stock was up over 110% on the day, being halted over 5 times and leading to several major exchanges shutting down. We look into the similarities between Wall Street bets and Bitcoin. And while Wall Street bets represents a desire to change the system, Bitcoin represents a solution that can actually change the financial system. Plus, as the M2 money supply begins to turn positive, is Bitcoin due for another monster rally as well? Welcome to Bitcoin Daily. I'm Dante Cook, head of Swan Business. Like Jokic showing young Anthony Edwards who's still the boss.
Rollicking down the lane,
The Roaring Kitty sits up in his gaming chair to show Wall Street who's actually boss. For those of you who don't know, the Roaring Kitty was an anonymous online user that turned $53,000 into $48 million during the last GameStop rally. And with the cat on his paws and standing at attention, GameStop stock has gone into an absolute frenzy, being up as high as 110% on the day and being halted 5 times. GME hit a $10 billion market cap, adding $6 billion to its market cap on the day and becoming one of the 600 largest publicly traded stocks in the United States. And just like the Pacers beating down the Knicks on Sunday, the Roaring Kitty and GameStop put a beat down on short traders, as over $1.4 billion in short trades were liquidated today. Wall Street bets and the Roaring Kitty represent more than internet nerds in random Reddit forums. They represent a collective desire for the common person to overthrow corporate Wall Street. This represents the underlying current that's flowing throughout the United States and the world globally to overthrow the current financial system. They want freedom and transparency and will use memes and anonymous handles on internet websites in order to get the attention of the large incumbents. And clearly it's caught the attention of some regulators and large incumbents, like the governor of the Central Bank of Canada, who says stretched valuations and the use of non-financial institutions and instruments can cause a collapse in the breakdown of the current financial system.
Some indicators of financial stress have risen. At the same time, the valuations of some financial assets appear to have become stretched. This could increase the risk of a sharp correction that could generate system-wide stress. The recent rise in the use of leverage in non-bank financial institutions could amplify the effects of such a correction.
But one interesting thing to note about GameStop today is that with it being halted 5 times, it's clear that the exits on GameStop and how far this revolution can go can easily be halted, stopped, or manipulated by the current financial system. But Bitcoin, the other hand, is the actual way that you can take part in the revolution that can't be stopped. Bitcoin is the Wall Street bets of currency debasement. Instead of a few hedge funds losing a few $1 billion, Bitcoin is short against every currency globally that has a chance of being debased, which is 100% of currencies. So when Bitcoin moves in a day, it won't just be a $6 billion move, but a $600 billion move, a $6 trillion move, the likes of which nothing has ever been seen before. And you know what? The government won't be able to block the exits because Bitcoin is outside of the current financial system. And is Bitcoin poised to have a rally of its own? Potentially. The M2 money supply has turned back positive. And as we've talked about in the past, Bitcoin is the ultimate liquidity absorber of M2 money supply globally. One interesting thing to note is when you look at the chart of M2 money supply before upcoming elections, the money supply always tends to grow, which is why the price correlation of Bitcoin in and around elections has always been very positive. This also tends to align with the timing of Bitcoin after a halving or post halving. Last week, we talked about the money printer turning back on in Japan, with backdoor deals between Japan and the United States government to add liquidity into their financial system so they don't sell off U.S. treasuries or their currency collapses. But this isn't just a Japan thing. As you can see on a country-by-country basis, M2 money supply is ticking up everywhere globally. And like ChatGPT 4's new release, being able to absorb any language and convert it into another language. Bitcoin will absorb any fiat global currency and convert it into a store of value. The rest of the world is conflating what's happening in meme stocks right now, like GameStop and AMC, which, on a side note, is also up 100% of the day. Everyone realizes that no one is going into stores and buying games in physical locations anymore, and no one is definitely going to the movie theater anymore. This is not a replay of my childhood. And so, with that, you can understand that the money sloshing into these meme stocks is not real. It's not chasing real value. They're conflating this action to Bitcoin and saying Bitcoin is like a meme stock in that people that don't know any better and are just looking for a quick gain are throwing their money into Bitcoin, like other cryptocurrencies. But that's not the case. Like Robert Breedlove says in this clip, Bitcoin is the only monetary asset that's truly being valued totally as money.
Now, I hold no Bitcoin. I don't really have a dog in the fight. However, I am fascinated by Bitcoin, and therefore I am more than happy to redress the inequality and invite you to explain what it is about that cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, which makes it, as you see it, the foundation upon which real freedom might be rebuilt.
Yeah, Neil, I think for me, I can't speak on behalf of the entire Bitcoin community, but the uproar that was created from my perspective was your guest use of the term intrinsic value. And anyone who has studied economics since the mid 1800s, during which we had the marginalism revolution, would know that all value is actually subjective. So value is a matter of individual preference, and value is something that is expressed through human action. So I find it farcical and deeply fallacious that anyone would ever use the term intrinsic value. And it's often wielded as a cudgel to try and dismiss Bitcoin. And what I think they mean by that is that because Bitcoin is not tangible, or Bitcoin does not have a commodity or industrial use case, that it is therefore irrelevant as a technology and has no use case whatsoever. And that, even if you take that opinion to be true, I would say that the market fundamentally disagrees, right? Bitcoin has a very substantial market capitalization. There's actually a strong argument to be made that its entire market capitalization is due to its utility as money. So in that way, it would be the first pure money we've ever had. Even something like gold that is predominantly used as money still has industrial use demand associated with it. And therefore, part of its market capitalization is for gold as an industrial metal rather than as a monetary metal. So that was my beef, I guess, with your guest.
For sure, Robert.
Is that she's using something that was dismissed 200 years ago.
I believe that we're moving into a world where people will value leaders in governments that value transparency, like El Salvador, who just posted a mempool view that shows their Bitcoin treasury and holdings live for everyone to see. And people can see if money moves in or out of their Bitcoin treasury. People are putting their trust in GME versus their GOV because when it's convenient for them, they'll change the rules and make up new ones, like removing coffee from the CPI index, when literally almost everybody in the United States drinks coffee. Bitcoin is the short squeeze against the lies of the current system. And we're just at the beginning of another massive bull market. And with that, we're signing off for today. This is Dante Cook with Swan.com. Happy stacking.